Yo, what is up, guys? This is Rise, and welcome to another video. We've got a Silph Sunday for you. And just as of the other day, I've actually hit #1 on the Silph leaderboard. If you go to silph.gg and go to the global leaderboards, you'll see me there at #1 in the global ranking. However, I'm like #1 for now. I started the month at #4. I'm not truly #1. #1 is really Vanni right here. You see, we're basically tied. I'm one spot ahead of him. But in Silph, every month you get a tournament that's 10 times weighted. That affects your ranking, and Vanni's just having an absolute tear of a season. Vanni has not even done his weighted tournament yet this month. So once he does that, he will definitely go up ahead of me at #1. And then also Jay's Fan and Stone Collection here will also have a chance to pass me as well, since they haven't done their weighted. So I'm theoretically like #4, but #1 for now. So call it clickbait if you want. I don't think it's really clickbait because I am #1 technically at the moment. But at the end of the month, it'll probably be more realistically #4 globally. And with that said, we're going to get straight into this tournament. So this is the Silph Nemesis Cup. And this is going to sound kind of cheesy because I just hit #1. But this has been a difficult meta for me. It's tough. There's so much variety where I feel like you can't really build a team that's super balanced against everything. I feel like every team is going to have some sort of weakness because your first 2 slots are restricted to a fighter and an anti-fighter, which are predetermined. And then your 4 other spots are bodyguards. So for this team, and I've run like literally 6 different teams now in this meta across different tournaments. But this is the first one I came up with after one practice tournament where I literally just did one match. And it's Quagsire, Charizard with Wing Attack, Zweilous, Ferrothorn, Galvantula, and Walrein. So a pretty strong team overall. It's got a combination of bulk and attack. And we're going to get straight into this Walker's tournament where we go up against some competition. It's a 7-rounder. This is a long video, so feel free to pause, grab a snack, chill out as we get into the battles. We got 7 rounds to go through. And there's some amazing battles in here. If you stay tuned till towards the end, round 6, I think there's just some absolutely epic battles in round 6. But yeah, we had the good lead. We commit a shield and we get a shield in return. And now we're going to stay in for a bit to lunge this Drapion. And now I'm going to go into Zweilous. Because if this thing has Sludge Bomb and I didn't debuff it, there's a chance it could force a shield from me. It does have Sludge Bomb, and now we see that we can take that pretty well. And I'm perfectly willing to tank this again, and this is good for me because I'm not going to allow the Walrein to get much farm, and I can kind of just blind Dark Pulse here. Because I would Dark Pulse everything on their team except for the Poliwrath, and I mean, honestly, a Dark Pulse probably does almost as much as a Body Slam, even if it was the Poliwrath. I come in right in with the Pharaoh, expecting maybe they were going to blind throw Icicle Spear, but instead they blind swap into the Crustle. And this has been a pretty RPS game one. I don't think there's realistically much our opponent could have done. We just had them pretty hard countered. But they're going to keep playing it out. I can honestly probably just Bullet Seed down from here if I wanted to, or I could just save the shield for Galvantula. They Rock Slide. I think they realize it's over. They're kind of just messing around. Or perhaps maybe they were thinking like Rock Slide does more raw damage than X-Scissor, which I'm not sure if it does. I think X-Scissor is an okay move, so I would think X-Scissor does more in that situation, but I'm not positive on that. And we take game #1 against Mr. Alolan Su Q. Let's see if I can fast forward a little bit through some of these so we're not waiting too long in between battles. Into game #2. It's also nice in OBS. I can keep an eye on the length of the video. It should end up being about like 50 minutes or so. In a good spot right off the bat. They swapped their Drapion, which is a very solid safe swap, but Quagsire can handle it pretty comfortably. I'm going to bait here with Stone Edge, which is a little uncomfortable, because if they call this, which they don't, if they had called that, it wouldn't have quite been in like Mudshot downrange. Maybe it would have, because I can take this Crunch, and I get debuffed, and a Sneak goes through. So this is getting a little uncomfy if they shield, but I'm willing to match shields here to keep my alignment, since I believe we led the Ferrothorn into the Crustle. They come in Wall Rain. I let myself get farmed down. We know there's a Crustle, right? So I'm willing to just sack my my Galvantula here and just save my shield for the Ferrothorn. And if the Crustle comes in, I'm willing to lunge it. So I kind of was just blind lunging here. I figured the Wall Rain is like his win con, so I thought he'd be likely to shield, and he did shield. Definitely going to let this go, because there's a chance I could get like sniped with one smackdown if I shielded. I come in Pharaoh. It's been debuffed, but like I wasn't sure. I honestly didn't know what would do more, like a debuffed Icicle Spear or an X-Scissor. Probably the X-Scissor would do more. So I guess I probably should have saved that shield technically, but shouldn't matter too much. I decided to just play it safe here. And I'm just going to double up on the Power Whip, because I know the Wall Rain doesn't have a move loaded. So this way I can just double up and Power Whip both of these fellas. Power Whip the Hermit Crab and Power Whip the Walrus. Get out of here, Walrus. See you later. Alligator. Not much of an alligator, though. We know that you're a different species. So in Silph, once again, if you're not familiar with it, it's best of 3. Whoever wins 2 out of the 3 advances to the next round, but you play all 3 matches no matter what, because if the opponent, if the loser can like steal 1 game versus getting swept 0-3, that can still help their ranking. Like, you won't get punished as much as a 1-2 as a loss than you would as an 0-3 as a loss when it comes to their ranking system. So you always play all 3. They swap in the Poly, and I was slow. I built up some energy there that I wanted to store for later, and it might have looked like the Dynamic Punch didn't do enough, but I think that was just visual. This should just be an Ice Punch, which I think I can tank. And I'm actually able to double up here. I might have been able to farm down there. I'm not sure if 2 Mudshots would have KO'd. I think it would have, but I could be wrong. Maybe I lived 2 Mudshots. So I double up. Gonna lunge the Drapion here. The Drapion is gonna get some farm on us, which is a little annoying. But I have the Stone Edge loaded, and I'm just gonna get it off right away to either nearly take this thing out or force a shield. I force a shield, in comes Wall Rain, and we're in a pretty good spot here. Because the Power Whip nearly one-shots the Wall Rain after like these few Bullet Seeds. I get a denial there, it looks like. Very nice. And they actually let it go, which is a little surprising. And I think I'm just going to save my shield for Quag at this point. If I can just get the last shield from Drapion, I should be fine. Go for the Thunder. In this tournament, I'm running Thunder. Wink, wink. That was a really bad wink. Sorry. But I do force the last shield, and the Drapion still can't farm me down. So I'm in a comfortable spot here. I simply just let Ferrothorn go. I still have 2 shields, and I'm nearly at the Stone Edge. Going to shield this to be safe. I think I live the crunch from here, but don't want to get too risky. They could get like a critical hit or something, right? Shield out of respect. And take out the Drapion. There we go. So round 1 in the books. And we'll move on to round number 2 against Jat Monkey 4. A lot of Latin American players I'm playing against, so apologies if my pronunciations of your guys' in-game names are off. I'll do my best. But you also see with the rankings, right? Ranked in the top 500, so obviously a solid player that knows a thing or two about what he's doing. And he's also rocking the Charizard. And look at this. We get a terrific lead. Zweilous into Venusaur. Zweilous making an appearance. In comes the Galv. And this is a really questionable play by me. Instead of just going straight into Quag, I'm like throwing this Body Slam first, which I thought would get a shield. And it did, so perhaps that's helpful, but like, I don't know. Maybe it's a smart play, we'll see. But now this is like becoming uncomfortable for the Quag, right? They've already gotten off 2 lunges. And I'm not sure I can even survive the Volt Switches to get to a 3rd Stone Edge here. Or a 2nd Stone Edge, rather. But they do decide to let it go. So interesting. I think they might have actually been better off shielding there and farming me down. But now I can come in with Galv against Zard. I am up a shield. I was expecting to catch here. I'm just going to lunge anyway to make this a little more comfortable for Zweilous. This way, Zweilous will only have to eat 1 move, and it's a debuffed move. And now I can simply just save both shields for my Galv, and I should be in a fine spot. So if Charizard gets off its Dragon Claw first here, we're totally fine with that. We don't need this Body Slam. We just need Volt Switch damage, right? So we're just going to let Zweilous go. And we are just going to Volt Switch down. We sneak 1 in. Makes sense for the opponent to try and go for the denial since they're in a tough situation. And we Volt Switch down. The Spider beating the Dragon. In game number 1 of the 2nd round. Game number 4 overall. Now we're locked in for game number 2. And yeah, my Galv looks pretty safe against their line. Because even the fire types, right? Like, I'm resisting the counter damage from Blaziken, and I can deal super effective against Charizard. So even the fire types aren't too bad for Galv. And there we see the Blaziken. Galv, one of my safest leads here. I sneak in a free Volt Switch. Really nice for me. So it's a little risky to throw on alignment. I go for the Discharge here. I don't think Lunge would KO since it's double resisted. I do get a shield. And I have back-to-back, so now I lunge. I'm hoping for the shield. They don't shield, so I decide to snipe. Because he would have gotten to a Blaze Kick. But now I've put myself in a bad spot. Because now I'm switch locked here against this Bug Bite Wormadam. And this thing's probably going to be able to farm me all the way down. Actually, no, it's going to have to throw a move here, which is good for us. But I'm trying to think, okay, what could be in back? What could be in back? If it's the Venusaur, I could be in rough shape for sure. I'm kind of hoping it's like the Drapion. Oh, man. I'm like, if it's Venusaur, I need this. We farmed down. A little bit of lag there, to be honest. I think our opponent lost a few Bug Bites. But we're able to lunge here. We get a shield. And now this is smooth sailing. We can simply just commit to the Earthquake. Because it's been debuffed, we can actually live 2 crunches as well. So we are smooth sailing. So yeah, opponent might have lost a few Bug Bites there, but I don't think it necessarily made any difference. I think it would have played out the same if I had just gotten the shield anyway from the lunge. And then Earthquaked, and then my Quag would have still been very healthy. So 2 games to none. Here we go. Game number 3. Quag into Wormadam. Neutral matchup, right? Like, Bug Bite's going to be chipping away here. But we're going to get to our charge moves quicker. I decided to bait here with Stone Edge because I feel like I only need 2 Stone Edges anyway. And I get a shield, which is really nice. Excuse me. I decide I'm willing to tank a move here. It is a Bug Buzz because I feel like even if I lose Switch, and I do get off the EQ, which is really nice, we'll put this into more manageable farm down range. But I'm thinking even if I lose switch here, I have shield advantage and I can get a big farm with Charizard. They actually give up switch. And they allow me to throw my lunge first, which is a mistake. You should definitely throw your lunge right away there to debuff me first. Because now, and I sneak one in. I think he's going to get to 2 still, but... But I can tank this, so I'm willing to let it go. Because I'm looking at their team, right? And once the Galv is out of the way, Charizard really has nothing it's afraid of. This is really dumb of me to lunge here. There's really no reason to lunge. But Drapion comes in. This is definitely kind of scary. If it has Aqua Tail especially. It does have Aqua Tail, so it's going to get to these Aqua Tails super fast. The only win con here is landing the Blast Burn. So it's a 50-50 call. We go for the bait here, the coin flip, and we get the shield. Gonna obviously shield the second Aqua Tail here. And we get off the Blast Burn, which will definitely take out the Drapion. An incredibly close game. That Wormadam still has some health, but we double resist the Bug Bites with Charizard. And we get the sweep for the second round in a row. Very good game there. Definitely some favorable alignments for me and just kind of recognizing what was good for me. We're into round number 3 here. Another unique team from Castiel Rock, who's consistently a GBL leaderboarder, a terrific battler. And we're going to see how this plays out. Charizard versus Goon. I've played this matchup quite a few times in Ultra League, but not so much in the Great League. I decide going for Blast Burn here is probably the safer play. I guarantee a shield or a lot of damage. I'm keeping track of his energy. And I know I can get to a move here. He actually doesn't throw right away. So I could have gotten to the Blast Burn there, which is unfortunate for me. And I don't quite reach that Dragon Claw, so definitely unfortunate. But Quag is bulky, and Quag can tank a couple of Night Slashes here, no problem. And I am going to get an energy lead. And if you look at his team, nothing really wants to take a move from Quag. I mean, even the Venusaur is going to be threatened. So I'm worried about the Venusaur, but here it comes. And I'm going to get off my EQ here to either do a ton of damage or force a shield. Boom! The EQ does like 90%. and we take it out with one Powder Snow. Now there's a dang Lantern. There is a dang Lantern. So we are still not out of the woods. This game is looking very difficult here. We build up a ton. We're going for a bait. We get the bait. Now we're going to be able to land the Earthquake. But is it going to do enough damage? Boom. Not quite enough to KO. And we get off another Icicle Spear. Just so spammy here. He could have Thunderbolted me, but he knew that if he Thunderbolts me, my Quag wasn't quite in Thundershock downrange. The Mud Shots would have added up first, so he was just trying to probably overfarm the perfect amount, knowing that the Mud Shots would do more than the Powder Snows. And we take game 1 after being in a pretty improbable situation. Quag into Drapion. This is where we want to see the Drapion. But actually, this team that we brought is pretty decent all around against Drapion, so not too pressed here. We take the Crunch. This time I'm going straight for the EQ. Last time we saw this situation, I baited. I tried to catch unsuccessfully. So I safe swap Galv here. Galv is only really afraid of the Mawile. I'm going to shield here. You could argue I should have shielded the first one since now he's able to Aqua Tail bait me, excuse me. But we do get off a lunge, which is nice. We've already gotten a shield. In comes Goon, which really surprised me. And believe it or not, I'm going to commit a shield here because this Goon is pretty tough for the rest of my line. So I really need to get off this lunge right here. To either get that last shield or do a lot of damage. I get the last shield, and now I'm willing to aggressive swap into my Quag. And I'll easily live this Night Slash and Earthquake. Should do quite a bit of damage. It probably won't quite take it out, but it'll be close. Boom. Can I mud shot down? I can. Let's go. I know that he still has that Drapion as a sack swap. In comes... Oh my god. He catches the freaking Earthquake on the low health Drapion. Are you kidding me, bro? Are you kidding me? Staying alive. Catches my Earthquake on his Drapion. A savage catch from our opponent. But we still have a very positive matchup here. Zweilous against Lantern. So this is not over yet. He's going to Thunderbolt us. I'm keeping track of when he's potentially getting to the Hydro Pump here. Because a Hydro Pump would probably do about half health on the Zweilous. And I catch right here on my Galv. So he makes a nice catch. I also make a nice catch. Boom. OMG. What an amazing catch. But like, to be honest, even if I don't catch there, I'm pretty sure the Volt Switch from the Galv like takes him out anyway. So it was like style points, really. I don't think it was really it really mattered that much, my catch. His catch, though, his catch was nasty. So we already have taken the set, and now we're going to lock in for game number 3. And uh-oh. Is that what I think it was? Galv into Shadow Mawile. Not good. We're swapping in our Zweilous, and we're met by Goon. Uh-oh, this is bad. This is muy malo. But we are able to chunk a little bit here. I'm like legit debating whether I want to shield this and try and take switch. I'm like, you know, I might as well. Like, if I have Mawile on my Galv, I'm kind of screwed. But now I'm also thinking, like, if I go down a shield, there's probably something that can just sweep me in back. So I decide to Volt Switch down here. This way I can get a Discharge off on the Mawile, which will do quite a bit of damage. And now I'm just thinking, please don't have Venu. Anything other than Venu, and I should be okay. But it's the Venu. And check out this. This is nasty from Venusaur. This is probably the one reason to run Shadow Venusaur over normal Venusaur, other than Spice. This thing Vine Whips me down completely before I even get to a second move. And this is over, so I just decide to no shield. Because, like, hypothetically, if I shield and, like, the Venu is going to outpace me anyway. So good games there, and Castiel Rock actually hands us our first loss of the tournament in terms of individual games. So we are 8-1 now overall, 3-0 in our matches. And now we're going up against BM player Sincero. And we've got some similarities. Both have Galv, both have Walrein, both have Quag. My Walrein does look pretty safe against him. And he safe swaps the Galv, which I thought was really interesting, knowing that I have a Quagsire. And there's no grass type on his team either, so Quagsire is probably my safest Pokemon. So I thought him safe swapping Galv was a little bit, I don't know, probably not the best strategy. But what I did find out by this is Galv, if you play out like the 2 shield, can actually make this matchup pretty dang close against Mr. Quagsire. Because Galv does outpace it. So Galv is actually going to force my second shield here. And I'm concerned about a potential catch, so I was patient, and I saved my Stone Edge. And I've got the Pharaoh on the Crustle, but what I'm a little concerned about here is if I take out this Crustle and leave myself with low health, like, I could put myself in a situation where the Galv farms me down and comes out with a move, and then I'm in a really bad spot. So I almost want this thing to get me, like, super low or come out with a move so I'm not switch locked. So I double up on Power Whips here. I'm ready for the Galv to come in, and I quickly combo play. Get off this Stone Edge. I am going to allow the Malamar to farm me down here, which is not ideal. But what I decided to do, since this Malamar has a head start in energy, is I come in with my full health Walrein, and even though I have no shields, I'm forcing this Malamar to like throw first, and it's gonna have to debuff itself to take me out with 2 moves. And I have my move stored on my Ferrothorn. So the only win con from the Malamar here is to double up on superpower. But by this point, my switch clock is up, and I can combo wombo with the Pharaoh. And a nice little game there. So even though we had our opponent countered pretty well, he did a really nice job of dancing around, trying to make it difficult. And we were patient, and we kept our moves for where we needed them, rather than just kind of blind throwing right away without thinking about it. Positive lead here. They safe swap Galv again. And I'm actually going to lunge here, because people usually like to shield the lunge before it's been debuffed. So I get the lunge debuff. And now this is going to be really comfortable for our Quag. We're going to have to take 2 moves. I thought about, like, what if he's 1000 IQing me and actually has Energy Ball? So just always thinking about those things, but we're able to take the lunge, take a second lunge. Gonna overfarm now that it's dry. I thought about an undercharge here, but I decided not to, just play it safe. The Malamar comes back. I commit to the EQ here, thinking he'd probably overfarm since... and I don't want to get Psycho Cut all the way down, so I'm actually willing to swap in my Galv. And I knew that once the opposing Galv was out of the way, our Ferrothorn is pretty dang safe. Even the Noctowl wouldn't be that bad. And our opponent does call our lunge. Really nice play by him. But this is fine, because even though they called the lunge, it did enough damage where it puts this into Bullet Seed downrange. And I'm perfectly content just tanking this move, saving the shields for the Malamar. This way we can simply just shield this up. And we've got double Power Whip. And Power Whip should just about KO from here. Get shield number 1. Now the Malamar is shieldless. Bang, bang, boogie. Get the dub. And full disclosure, some of my Mazer teammates can tell you, I put this team together in literally like 5 minutes as they were closing check-in for this tournament. I just kind of threw this team together. I already had some ideas, but I was like, crap, dude, like, my team's too weak to this, it's too weak to that. Threw this one together, and it's performing well, as you see. I try to catch on my Pharaoh here. And I don't, but at least I kind of wanted to preserve my Quag, you know, because we talked about our teams, and my Quag is just so safe against his team. There's really no hard check for it. I'm willing to tank this. I don't think I can get to another move here. Yeah, it's kind of bad. This Malamar causing me some problems, so I just decided to throw my Stone Edge right away. And they're willing to let it go. What is going to come in against us? The Quag comes back. The Quag, that's Miles back. Goldfish. We're able to successfully shield the EQ. And then a sneak plus deny. So I think we're back on even energy now. And I get another sneak. So now I know I'm 1 ahead, but my opponent might not necessarily know that, because I've been over farming, right? So I know I'm 1 ahead at this point. And boom. I'm going to get off this Earthquake first. Bang, get out of here. And there is a Wall Rain in back. I know I can tank this, so I'm willing to stay in. Just to soften the Wall Rain with a Stone Edge. And this will put it well within Earthquake range, whereas I know my Wall Rain will not get one shot by Earthquake. And this isn't really a BM, in my opinion, to go for Earthquake here, because Icicle Spear is double resisted. I'd probably need 2 of them to KO. So it'd probably be more of a BM, to be honest, to double Icicle Spear than it would be to throw the Earthquake. Bang. Lots of mirrors in that one. Both had Quag in the lead, both had Wall Rain in the back. Oh, and I think we're on to the next match. Round 5 against Master Caldatha. And you see the rankings just keep on climbing every single round. This guy's ranked number 78 in the world. Competition keeps getting tougher and tougher. And it is Poison Jab Rose, so I'm actually willing to stay in and check out a pretty nice catch here with my Charizard. And lucky enough for me, they did not bring the Dedenne or the Macargo. But look at this. Oh, crap. This is the wrong team. Let's see. Do we have them out of order? Okay. Yeah, this makes more sense. This team. Marajo 15. And it's actually rare to run Scald on Poliwrath. Most people run Dynamic Punch, Ice Punch, which is why I didn't shield my Charizard. I probably would have if I thought they were running Scald. But we get a nice little farm with Galv. And once again, Galv pretty safe against their line. Roserade's the hardest counter. So I'm willing to preserve it here. I've got loaded energy. I'm going to be able to debuff this Drapion. And then I can just swap in the Quagmeister. Get off the EQ. Quag. Oh, man. Looking at Quag's face there totally reminded me of my, I think it might be my most viewed video on the channel, the Quagsire sweep. Quagsire shows no mercy, like a YouTube short. It was one of those, like, very start of the GBL seasons where you play some opponents that, like, aren't the most experienced PvPers, and my Quagsire just ran through their entire team. It was very funny. They were, like, triple weak to Quag. Game number 2 is Wireless into Drapion. Very solid lead for us, especially if they don't have Sludge Bomb. Drapion's so spammy, it will get to Sludge Bomb at the same time I get to Body Slam. He tanks it, so like now I'm totally willing to tank this. Crunch. I'm hoping he doesn't get to a second, but he shields. Or no, not shields, sorry. He swaps into Roserade. And this is a little tough now, because this is like my best Roserade answer. So I have to swap my Galv into a dang Roserade. I'm like, oh crap, this is kind of bad. And look at this. He's going to get both of my shields with this dang Roserade, causing me a lot of issues. And this did make me realize my team is... I don't know. It's like... It's hit or miss, right, against Roserade. Like, either I have Pokemon that do really well against it, like Charizard or Zweilous, or I have Pokemon that do really bad against it. He's able to take me out. I wasn't sure if I could Mudshot down here, so oh, wow. I know I do come in with it. And there's Polly. And this is going to be a close finish, to be honest. I'm not sure who's going to take this one. Dynamic Punch. But he is Switch Lock, so I don't have to worry about a catch. And then I aggressively swap here, and I actually am able to Dragon Breath down before they get to another move, which is massive for me. Rose comes in, and I barely Dragon Breath down before... No, actually, wait a sec. Check this out. I'm not sure if you caught it, because this is sped up 1.5 times speed. We both stopped for a moment. We both stopped for a brief moment, because here's the thing. that Drapion left with residual energy. So if I was to take this out and the Drapion had stung me down, the Drapion could get off a crunch on my Quag. So I actually stopped for a moment, and he stopped as well. Because what I wanted to do was Mudshot down and then throw a move at the Drapion. But he stops as well for a split second. And I actually do come out barely with the body slam. And that's enough to get the win. My goodness gracious. Crazy little endgame there. For me, it wasn't really necessary to stop tapping, I guess, because I did come out with the body slam, but I wasn't sure if that was the case. So that is why. Sorry, just getting an important text message. All right, on to the next battle. Zard into Walrein. So not the best matchup, so I decided to swap out of here. It's a bait dependent matchup. If Charizard can land the Blast Burn, it wins, but if you can't land the Blast Burn, you actually lose pretty hard. So I safe swap the Quag. Once again, our opponent doesn't have like a hard answer to Quag. I'd say Poliwrath is like their best answer. They catch a move on Rose, but like this is fine with me. But you know, that's actually really good for them. And I wanted to force them to throw energy here rather than throw my move and have them farm me down. So I forced them to throw energy, and now my Charizard gets a little bit of a head start. Walrein comes back, and I'm able to make a nice little catch here on an Icicle Spear. So now Charizard almost has a Blast Burn worth of energy and is still quite healthy in the back. And we've chipped this Walrein enough where it's in Earthquake range. We're willing to shield here. Luckily, we call it correctly. Getting off my EQ. Either take this thing out or force a shield. And look at this. They let it go. And they barely hung on to the Walrein. So I know it might have an Icicle Spear loaded. But I'm feeling pretty good at this situation because I know I've got a lot of energy on my Charizard still. So I go for a bait here. I get a shield. Now I'm just going to go straight for Spear. I don't want to get outpaced here. I just want to get off my move for Chip. And this Spear should put it just about into Dragon Claw range. So we can simply just double up here on Dragon Claw. We get the shield. We throw back to back. And there is no way this Walrein can get to like 3 Icicle Spears. So we're in good shape. We take the win. And now it's time for the Grand Finals. The Grand Finals. We have won 6 rounds in a row. I think I might have missed one in this video. But we have won 6 rounds in a row. And it is time for the final round against Richie. He was also 6-0 at this point. And whoever wins this sweeps the entire tournament. Whoever loses comes in second place for all the marbles. And look at this. Worst possible league, Quag into Pharaoh. Excuse me. If you look at our teams, I think it's a pretty like neutral matchup, to be honest. I think I don't necessarily have a safe swap. Galv is like my safest swap. But as we'll see, Roserade counters it pretty dang hard. And Dedenne is a pretty good answer as well. My Charizard looks really solid. But it just gets hard punished by that Dedenne. And then Walrein and Poly aren't that great either. So it's just like, I just really have to line things up correctly in this matchup. And we'll see how this finals takes place. Notice, I'm pretty sure he didn't even bother throwing a Bullet Seed. He knew I would swap right away. So rather than let me get ahead on energy, he just waited for me to swap. Which was really smart of him, to be honest. And I'm like debating, do I shield, do I not? Because this Rose is going to get to a move first. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's like Dedenne in back, considering he had double grass here. So maybe if it's Dedenne in back, my Ferrothorn can sweep Dedenne plus the mirror. So that's kind of my thinking at this point. We try to catch, we're unsuccessful. And I think I tried to catch after 3 bullet seeds, and I think he only did, I think he, like we noticed here in hindsight, that he didn't even do one earlier, so I think he would have needed another bullet seed to even get to the power-up, so another misplay by me. But this is looking pretty RPS City. I'm not really sure where there's a win con here. Ferrothorn has a Power Whip loaded. We are out of shields. Yeah, I just don't see a win con. He's going to land the Dark Pulse. Expecting that he would react quickly to Arc Swap, I go for the Earthquake here, which chunks, but it's just not going to do enough. Even a Thunder would not KO Ferrothorn from this range. I would need probably a Thunder plus a Power Whip, or maybe 2 Thunders. So I knew it just simply isn't going to happen, so I don't bother throwing my move. And we just get crushed. Just read like a book in game number 1. I don't think we realistically had any play in that game. Yeah, I really don't. I really don't think we could have done much, to be honest. Like if I try to commit shields with Galv, I just don't think Galv can take back switch against Rose since he swapped so quickly. And I'm thinking like, okay, his team was so incredibly weak to a Charizard lead. I like want to run the Charizard lead. But is this too predictable? Is he going to adjust? Is he thinking that I'm going to lead Charizard now, so he leads the Dedenne? I decided to risk it since he didn't bother bringing the Dedenne at all. And here we go into game number 2. And look at this, Charizard into Dedenne. And I'm double weak to it as well. So luckily he is staying in here, which is not good for me still. But if Charizard avoids the Dedenne, Charizard's pretty good everywhere else. But the problem here now is my Ferrothorn. Now my Ferrothorn, if it doesn't see the Dedenne, it doesn't really have much play anywhere else. So we're in a tough spot, man. We're in a tough spot. Gonna get off an Icicle Spear here as well, hoping to get the second shield. I do get the second shield, and they're actually willing to throw to not let me get off an Icicle Spear. So at least we'd get shield advantage. I come in Pharaoh, he comes in Zweilous, and I swap here, and immediately I'm just thinking, I lose, I'm screwed. Because I'm thinking it's probably Roserade in the back. He wouldn't have swapped the Zweilous here if he knew he had, like, I don't know, Walrein in back or Poly potentially. So I'm thinking it's definitely the Rose. And, like, I don't even want to take it out, you know? I don't even want to take it out there because I'm just giving a bunch of farm to the, Dedenne. I guess I probably should have swapped just to, or throw my claw just to give myself a chance, because now I'm really screwed. And is it the Roserade? It is. So yeah, this game is not even close, just completely over. I think the only win condition would have been this right here. The only win condition in this game would have been, okay, so Dedenne takes me outright. I come in with the Pharaoh. He swaps the Zweilous. The only win condition, I think, would have been stay in here, sack the Pharaoh, and save a shield for Charizard. And that way, if I save a shield, I can blast burn the Dene and then take out the Roserade. So I don't think this, if I had stayed in, I don't think it guarantees that I win by any means, but I think that's the only way I could have won that game, is if I had just stayed in and sacked the Pharaoh and then saved my shield for Charizard. I think that's the only way I could have won the game. So although we kind of got hard countered again, I think it was possible still to win that game. And I was just outplayed, didn't play well enough. So with that Game 2 victory, Richie has secured the 7-0 sweep. But we're going to try and save our dignity here in the final and try and at least take one win if we can. Locked in for game number 3. Two negative leads. Let's see if we can try and get a positive lead. Again with his team, although Roserade has proven to be a solid answer, I feel like Gal was my safest mon, so I decided just to lead it for game 3, and I get a positive lead here against Pharaoh. He immediately swaps into Zweilous, and I did not bring a hard answer to the Zweilous, so I'm lunging here right away. And I'm like, what do I do here? I end up committing my second shield. Or sorry, my first shield. I'm going for another lunge. And I swap my Quag here. And I know that his switch clock is coming up soon, and he's gonna come in with the Ferrothorn. So I hold off on throwing the Stone Edge. I get to the Earthquake here, which will still do quite a bit of damage. And here, you're going to see is where I make a brutal mistake. I settle for the Stone Edge. Just an inexcusable, silly mistake. Because, oh, sorry, I'm getting carried away. Oh, no, it looks like I actually got the refund. Never mind. I'm like, I'm telling you guys like I was patient and I actually got refunded. I Earthquake here. And here since I knew he had the Power Whip, right? In my head, in the moment, I got kind of panicky. And I settle for the Stone Edge to get off a move before he takes me out. There is absolutely zero reason here to throw the Stone Edge. This is where I tell people I coach all the time, there's zero reason to throw the Stone Edge. You have to commit to the Earthquake. If he expends his energy to take you out, that's fine. But by throwing the Stone Edge, I don't even KO him. And he still has all this energy. So I make a terrible, horrible mistake there. Really poor play by me. And if I don't make that mistake, he doesn't get this chip damage off here against my Zweilous. And we're expecting the Roserade and back again. I know that Zweilous still has like half health, so I know I'm gonna need to land a body slam on the opposing Zweilous to have a chance. So I'm over farming. Do I get there? I do, but will this be enough to take it out? It's gonna be close. I get the pause, and it's actually a CMP tie. Wow, so incredibly close game. And I think I stopped recording at that point, and Richie is able to sweep us in the final. So very unfortunate way to end the tournament, but it was still overall a good tournament run. I went 18-1. No, sorry, wait. I went 17-1 up until the finals, and then 0-3 in the finals, which is pretty crazy to think about. Like, I was feeling pretty good, right, with this team, 17-1 going into the last matchup, and just got completely red, completely outplayed. I don't think I really had any play in the first game. It was just RPS. Game 2, pretty much the same thing. I got RPS'd again, but there was potentially some play there if I just recognized it quicker. And then game 3 was quite neutral. I just made 2 mistakes. I think what I should have done was recognize earlier that it was probably Roserade and back again, and then go into Quag after I threw the first lunge, and then just sacrifice my Quag, save shields for his Wireless. Probably would have been in a better spot. But yeah, credit to Richie as well. He gambled quite a bit because his lines were extremely weak to certain things. For example, if I was to have led my Charizard in game 1, he just loses. He just loses. If I was to lead my Charizard in game 3, he just loses. But he made extremely risky teams that paid off, so you can't fault him for that. I have a different play style. I tend to play teams that are a little bit more safer, but he ran teams that were very one-sided. He called, I'm going to lead this, I'm going to have that and that, and he made the perfect calls to really neutralize any kind of neutral play from me. And that's where I've run into some tough players. There are certain players, Chumpaletta is one I've mentioned in the past, that in my opinion, they run a style where like they'll take the neutral play out of the game, where they'll like pick 3 just to specifically counter the 3 they think you're going to run. And I don't know if that's what Richie was doing or if he had a different thought process behind it, but it was a frustrating one because I felt like there was realistically no play for me in those first 2 games just because like the teams were so unbalanced. Like the Wall Rain in the back would have just shredded one team, and the Charizard lead would have shredded the 2 other teams. But anyway, it's part of the game, and sometimes you gotta just tip the cap. Outplayed in the finals, but we still got that #1 ranking, which is temporarily something we can hold our heads high about. If you made it all the way through this video, I appreciate you so much. It's a long one, 52 minutes we're at the moment. But all that said, if you enjoyed, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, comment down below. All comments help us out. And all that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.